Hello, everyone. It's Wednesday, March 22nd. Joining me today, we've got the Secretary of the Department of Transportation, Jimmy Riston, with us. We've got Interim Superintendent, our new Superintendent of the State Police and everything is Interim Superintendent Jack Chambers, and also my Chief of Staff, Brian Abraham to cover some issues and everything if questions come up. But the reason we're running a little bit behind, we've surely been signing a bunch of bills. I had the opportunity yesterday to go to Leon Elementary in Mason County. It was unbelievable. I mean, it was so fantastic. It was off the chart. You know, Leon is not a great big elementary school by any stretch of the imagination. It was amazing. I was there with Senator Amy Grady, and I have to say this: the thing that was absolutely the most amazing to me was Senator Grady knew all the kids' names. I mean, it was unbelievable. That's just all there is to it. And so we signed a bunch of education bills and everything, and which we're really all very, very proud of. And so a great day, a lot of fun for me, and the kids were just, you know, if you haven't been to a school, you need so badly to get out and go to schools. I mean, it is really something to see how much our teachers and all the service personnel and everybody, the administrators, love our kids, just love our kids, and how smart the kids are. And I mean, these kids all had a whole basket or bucket full of questions. And I sat there and I think I answered every single question. And it's just a lot of fun. They gave me a notebook of every single one of them that had written something in the notebook and everything. And it was just spectacular. That's just all there is to it. A great day. And so I thank Senator Grady for having us, but really a lot of fun at an incredible elementary school. Another great testament to West Virginia. Wonderful children. This morning we signed Senate Bill 526, which makes it mandatory that the DHHR work with our Bureau of Senior Services and the Alzheimer's Association to educate healthcare professionals and all West Virginians about early detection of Alzheimer's, dreaded disease that just seems to get worse and worse. A lot of research going on all across this great country and everything to some way, somehow, and we got to stop this thing. That's just all there is to it, because it is a dreaded disease. We also signed Senate Bill 674, which creates the West Virginia First Foundation that will advance the goal of abating the opioid epidemic and providing a long-term money stream and everything to help with the governmental entities as well as the private sector. And so lots of good stuff going on there. And later today, we at 2 p.m. we'll be at the John Amos coal-fired power plant, and to sign a whole bunch of bills that deal with the coal industry. And I welcome any and everybody to be there, and just great stuff for an industry that we surely don't need to forget. Only those that are frivolous in their thinking and everything can think we can do without coal, and we're going to put another stake in the sand that says we're not going to do that in West Virginia. Jimmy Riston is with us, and we're going to talk about paving announcements today. And I guess today is officially the first day of spring, and that means that our state roadside, basically our flower in our state ought to be our orange cones, and I don't want to take anything away from rhododendron, but we've got so many orange cones out, it's unbelievable. And Jimmy, if you could talk to us about the spring pothole repair blitz and all the stuff that we're going to do, please come on and talk to us.
Thank you, Governor. The The spring pothole repair blitz is already underway. I know it's the first full day of spring, but we already have crews out there. We've had some weather over the last little bit. All the asphalt plants over the next few weeks should be open all across the state, and we'll be out there getting those potholes repaired, just like as the same methodology we've used for the last 3 years. Our target date is to have them all by Memorial Day. We intend to do that. We're seeing the benefit of doing that in this time of the year. You know, we attack them now. We can reduce claims. We can get this part of the work done before that hot August 95-degree weather comes, and we're not out there sweating to try to patch these potholes. This is the right way to do this. We've seen a reduction over the last 2 years in how much material we're using to patch those potholes. So the things that we're doing with our core maintenance work is working. It's doing exactly, it's performing as advertised. We had a great year last year paving. We're going to have a great year this year paving. We're going to do a lot of bridge work. We're going to have another banner year in West Virginia as far as the infrastructure. That is absolutely going to happen, and we'll be bringing out some material about that and kind of give everybody an idea of exactly how big this year's program is going to be once over the next few weeks. So. Also, I mean, with all that work out there, I have to remind everybody, because this is something that we have to be very serious about, and that's work zone safety and paying attention. Stop speeding in the work zones. Lay those phones down. All of these accidents out there, I mean, almost all of them is distracted driving and speeding, and we have got to work together. We've put a little team together with law enforcement. We've seen a blitz out there, wrote 120 tickets out in one work zone in Barbersville, and that was kind of in the off season here. So we're going to be moving over to the Dunbar Nitro Bridge very shortly. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to use everything at our disposal. The team that I've put together with law enforcement, supported by our FHWA partners, our own traffic division. Every stakeholder that has any interest in our transportation infrastructure, we're going to compile a statewide work zone safety action plan. Not a study that we're going to put on the shelf, but we're going to actually document things we've tried, things that we're going to try, what the results was, and we are going to commit to 0 fatalities on West Virginia highways. For years, you know, the work zones and the safety out there on these things has been an afterthought. It's kind of put on the end of a construction plan. It's the last step you do. We're going to focus on this. We're going to commit to it. No more. We're not just going to comply with the minimum standards. We're going to commit to the result, and that result has got to be 0 fatalities on the highways. We're going to need everybody's help. We're going to use technology. We're going to use traffic devices. We're going to use anything new out there. We're going to use our PR people. We're going to get help from our media partners. We're going to use our law enforcement partners. We have to impact the behavior of the drivers on the road. We have to change that culture, much like we've changed the culture inside our own department over the last few years. We need to have an impact on how people operate on these roads. The highway department is doing their part. We're getting the roads in the condition that you want. We're getting them in the roads in the condition you deserve. Now everybody that operates a motor vehicle has got to do their part. We have got to slow down. We have got to follow signs, and we're going to need your help, but we're going to do whatever is necessary. If someone has an idea, we'll try it. If that doesn't work, we'll scrap it and try something else. But we're going to move forward, and we're going to work. We're committed to 0 fatalities on West Virginia highways.
Thank you so much, Secretary Riston, and please, everybody, take heed and listen to what he's saying and everything. It's really, really, really important. And I mean, these people, you know, they get their dinner bucket and they go to work, don't they? And they deserve to be able to go home to their families. So take heed. Please take heed. And now I've got an announcement, you know, from the standpoint of the DNR. You know, this is our Gold Rush announcement today. I'm happy to announce that the West Virginia Gold Rush will return for the 6th year on March 28th. And It'll run from March 28th to April the 8th, and it'll give anglers and their families 12 days to catch a beautiful golden trout in West Virginia. It's West Virginia's pride and joy from the standpoint of our trout stockings. 50,000 golden trout will be stocked at 48 lakes and different streams all across the state, including waters in or near 15 of our state parks and forests. It is a great, great, great time. I'm sure we'll be out. There'll be some pictures, with us being out. It's a great day for me to have an opportunity to get out and everything. And all I can say to you is just this: for crying out loud, get out and see what's happened with our state parks. See all the renovations. They're unbelievable. See what is going on with all of our waters across this great state. See what's going on with this incredible trout stocking and the big smiles, especially on kids' faces and everything. Bring a kid, introduce a kid back into fishing in West Virginia, and let it touch his or her soul, and absolutely yours as well. This is a great time of year and everything. We celebrate spring coming and a lot of warm days ahead and everything. Get out, and just see what it'll do. It absolutely, you'll remember it forever, and it touches your soul every time you go. Okay, we still got a couple of teams in the that are playing NCAA basketball, and that's in Glenville State. My gracious sakes, 11 is unbelievable what they've done with their women's team, and they've been there last year. The Lady Pioneers won it all last year and everything. They play tonight. They play Ashland University, and Baby Dog will give her predictions in just 1 second. But David, you've got to come in here. David, come here in just a second. And West Liberty men's team is playing, and they've advanced to the Final Four, as well as the Glenville State team that is in the Final Four. So we wish the Hilltoppers the very best as they play Black Hills State University tomorrow. So we got a game tonight and a game tomorrow, and if you can help me, Baby Dog's going to give you a prediction right now, but you got to come over here on this side. Now, she's a little bit of a bear where she's at. Okay. Okay, here she is. Here's the deal. Here's how Baby Dog sees it. She sees the Glenville State women's team 61, Ashland, this is Ashland University 43. 61 Glenville State, 43 Ashland University. As far as West Liberty men's team, she sees West Liberty men's team advancing on to the finals and taking care of Black Hills State University tomorrow. She sees that game as 73-68, West Liberty. That's what she sees. And so make her proud, everybody, at Glenville State and West Liberty. Thank y'all so very much. All right, we got to put you down, baby. You're a load, aren't you? Okay. Now, let's get back dialed in here. West Virginia's seasonally adjusted unemployment rate dropped another 0.2% and everything to 3.7% in February. The total number of unemployed in the state fell by 2,100 more people. That's all really great stuff. So we celebrate that. We want every single person in this state working, and we encourage you, for crying out loud, it is so important. It is so important. You will absolutely feel so much better. If you're not working right now and you're able to work and everything, there's so many jobs out there that are available. Just try. Just work at it just a little bit to try to find something that fits you. And when you find that something that fits you, you will absolutely be so proud and move forward in every way. And we need you. We really, really need you badly. I mean, we got too many jobs and everything that we can't fill in this state and everything. We need you. And if your sons or daughters have moved away and everything, tell them to look at moving back. I mean, moving back and enjoying this incredible state and this incredible success story and putting our families back together. So just take heed again. Okay, this is about severe weather. I have signed a proclamation designated this week as Severe Weather Awareness Week in West Virginia. Severe weather impacts West Virginians in every region of our state, and knowing what to do in advance of severe weather will save lives. And so, there'll be all kinds of drills going on and everything else, but with all that being said, again, take heed. It will save your life if you know what to do. Don't have to be afraid. Just have more knowledge, and more knowledge we have, the better we'll be. In regard to state police issues, we've got Colonel Chambers and my chief of staff, Brian Abraham, with us today and everything, and they'll be with us, for your questions, and I'll help as well. We have a COVID update, and from General Hoyer, if we could, I promised you that we would have an update on that. And so General Hoyer, please come on.
Thank you, Governor. I appreciate the opportunity to provide a COVID-19 update from your Joint Interagency Task Force. This is being recorded on March 21st, 2023. A couple of important updates from your Interagency Task Force. First, as was announced in January, the National Public Health Emergency is set to end May 11th. This does not mean that COVID is over. But what this does mean is a change in certain policies and funding in response to the pandemic that may have an impact on certain people in the state of West Virginia, particularly those related to Medicaid, CHIP, and SNAP. It is exceptionally important that those individuals go to www.wvpath.org and look to updates on benefit changes that may occur related to their particular benefits. Please spread the word to all individuals who are involved with Medicaid, CHIP, and SNAP that you must go and check to make sure what changes may apply to you. If you don't have access to the ability to access the internet, please use the client service hotline at 1-800-642-8589 and ask for assistance. Again, there will be changes related to Medicaid, CHIP, and SNAP that you must be aware of. Next is in the recovery efforts, just like in the recovery from another type of natural disaster, we're going to have FEMA audits and closeouts that will need to be done as a state. The Joint Interagency Task Force has been assigned to work with the Governor's Deputy Chief of Staff, to work with Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, FEMA, and the threat preparedness folks within the Department of Health and Human Resources and other agencies to make sure that closeout is done correctly and in an expeditious manner. Things such as PPE, documentation, assisting in audits that are currently being engaged on behalf of FEMA. One of those is done by the RAND Group, a national organization. So far, facilities that have participated in these audits have received strong applause for their excellent record keeping and effective distribution of benefits. So far, West Virginia is moving along just fine in those initial audits. Another important area that I want to point out is this marks the 1 year anniversary. March the 18th actually was the date that marked the 1 year anniversary of the development of our COVID-19 vaccination due date calculator. I greatly appreciate the work of Dr. Julia Frostino, Dr. Lisa Costello, and graduate student Steve Lowe from West Virginia University for the work they did in putting this together. We have had nearly 1 million calculations done on our calculator. It was the first of its kind in the nation, and ours has become the national template. It is truly an effort that the governor had pressed us on to create innovation in taking care of West Virginians, and I believe we demonstrated that with this calculator. It is important that folks continue to pay attention and check the calculator, because we know that staying up to date on COVID-19 shots is the best protection that we have against severe COVID-19 reactions. For everyone 6 months and older, we need to be making sure that we continue to be up to date on vaccines. So as additional vaccine information comes available at the national level, we need to make sure, just like with the flu shot, just like with other vaccines, we continue to stay up to date. And we will continue to make that COVID-19 calculator available. You can also access it through the vaccinate.wv.gov site. Will allow you to get access there. If you have additional questions or issues, the vaccine info line at 1-833-734-0965 is also still available. We will also begin to work on how we can use this unique asset that was developed by West Virginia, the first of its kind in the country, to help with other vaccine related information as well as other health related information going forward. Again, changes are coming, particularly on May 11th. That does not mean that COVID is over. We still have in this country today 400 Americans a day dying from COVID. Those tend to be, and statistics show, are people over the age of 65. They make up 90% of the fatalities. People over the age of 75 make up 70% of those fatalities. So we need to continue to focus on taking care of our older and most vulnerable populations. You put that in perspective, as much as we talk about gun violence today in this nation, 53 people a day die of gun violence in this nation. 400 people a day are still dying from COVID. So please, West Virginia, pay attention to what the governor continues to press us, that we've got to pay attention, work on this, and improving other health aspects within our state. Governor, again, I thank you for the opportunity to serve with you as a part of this joint interagency task force, and thank you for your leadership with this response and with the state of West Virginia.
No, General, I thank you and the many others, whether it be Dr. Marsh or all of our experts and everything that have provided so much. I can never, ever, ever thank you enough. That's all I've got right now. I guess we can go to questions.
All right, thank you, Governor. We'll now go to questions from members of the media. The first today from Amanda Barron with WOWK. All right, we'll try her again. How about Kenny Bass with WCHS and Fox 11?
Hi, thanks for taking the question. I have two questions, if I could direct them to the interim superintendent or to the chief of staff. One is with the departure of Jan Cahill, there was a lot of information about other members of the top brass of state police that's been disseminated. I'm sure that's been looked at. When should we expect to hear the movement, if there's going to be any, of other names of people who might be reassigned or moved out of those positions because of the investigation, or merely because that the interim superintendent might make some changes and appoint some of the people that he wants in those positions? So if you could give a timetable on that, when that will happen, or when it's not going to happen, and you're just going to continue on with the way things are. And secondly, there has been talk that an alleged whistleblower, at least alleged by some people who wrote the anonymous letter, Corporal Joe Comer, who has been targeted by the state police through some legal actions just on the eve of him testifying at a grievance hearing. We've heard about the casino. We've heard about the other incidents which were troubling, of course, the camera at the academy and so on. But is the Comer situation being looked at? If it is, what have you determined, if anything? And secondly, if it's not, do you plan on looking at it because of the seriousness of the allegations and the timing of the incident? Thank you very much.
Okay, Kenny, I appreciate, always your questions and everything, but this one's got to go to Brian and to Colonel Chambers, and they're with us, and so y'all take the whole gambit.
Go ahead. My name's Jack Chambers. First off, I want to thank the governor for having faith in me and appointing me to this interim position, as well as the chief of staff for him. Kenny, how you doing? Haven't seen you for a while, but good to see you. And with your question, I'm going to look at every position that's appointed in the state police, evaluate those. I have to get some information from everybody first, but I can't give you a timetable, to be honest with you. This is going to take me some time. I've been down there one day, and I was covered up at that day yesterday all day. So I will be looking at stuff, evaluating stuff, revisiting investigations and issues that we have. One thing I do want to say, and I want to say it early, we have a great bunch of people at the West Virginia State Police. Right now, I was down there yesterday and at different places yesterday that I could get to, and there's a lot of wondering on their face, a lot of looks, and I am going to do my best to help change that. We do a lot of good things, a whole lot of good things. The governor says it every day about the West Virginia State Police. Now, we've got a couple hiccups right now, and we got a couple things going on, several things going on. They're going to be addressed and they're going to be looked at, and hopefully this won't happen in the future. We're going to have mishaps, but we will look into everything that comes my way, and I'm going to see that it does come my way so I can address it with the people that I have, and that's for my uniformed members and all civilians. West Virginia, I want you to know, the West Virginia State Police will not give up on you, I promise.
Kenny, to answer your question regarding Trooper Comer, we're of course monitoring that situation. That has become part of the investigation, but let me be very clear, whether or not those acts that were alleged have occurred, those will be dealt with on their own merit. If those allegations turn out to be proven in court or be proven true, then that trooper would be subject to discipline. If it turns out that this was fabricated, then obviously those that were involved in that will be subject to discipline for that. But those are obviously very serious accusations. We have to allow those to run their course in our criminal court system, but that is something that Homeland Security is monitoring, and then we'll be working with Colonel Chambers to make sure that everything is handled properly henceforth.
All right, thank you, Kenny. Next, we'll go to Curtis Johnson with WSAZ.
Hey, thank you so much for the time. Good day to you, Governor. Just a few questions, mainly about the casino incident. After seeing the casino video yesterday, can you give an update with regards to the filing of any criminal charges related to the alleged theft? And if there's been no criminal charges filed, why has there not been any criminal charges filed? Also involving the casino, will you release the full, unedited surveillance video of the incident, of everything that happened there that day? Will you release the casino's report on the incident? And was the trooper ever confronted by casino staff on the day of the incident? And how much money was taken? And was any of that money ever returned? Those are just some questions we haven't had answered as of yet. Also, when are you going to release a copy of the Homeland Security investigation that you spoke of on Monday? Thank you.
Brian, I think you take it from here and everything, and I can answer an awful lot of the questions, but the net of the whole thing, I think you take the whole thing from here.
Curtis, to try to answer those in the order that you stated them, the full video of the occurrence at the casino was released yesterday, which depicts all the relevant time frames regarding the actions by the trooper. With respect to whether or not there'd be criminal charges filed as a result of that, obviously that would have been a decision to be made by the prosecuting attorney of this county. However, given the delay between the discovery of the incident by Homeland Security and this coming to the public eye, the statute of limitations is most likely run that would prohibit a prosecution of that charge. The amount of money involved was just a little bit more than $750 in cash, which would have labeled that as a misdemeanor petit larceny, thus the statute of limitations. So I don't believe even if we intended to turn that over, there'd be much that could be done at this date, except for the disciplinary action. There was an opportunity to do something with that a couple weeks ago when Colonel Cahill had the ability to do so. There's still going to be ongoing investigation regarding those actions and whether or not additional discipline action should be taken against others. With respect to the entire report being released, many of those items, as I detailed the other day, will be followed on with law enforcement and will be incorporated into potentially their reports, which would not be subject to release. So there may be a point in time where some of these items are releasable to the public, but then many of them will not be. And that's just the course of ongoing criminal investigations.
All right, thank you, Curtis. Next, we'll go to Stephen Adams with Ogden Newspapers.
Stephen Adams of Ogden Newspapers here, and as they say in Monty Python, for something completely different. This is for the governor or the state police if they want to answer the question. But House Bill 2310 is specifically a bill that deals with license plates for antique vehicles. But inside that bill, it includes a provision starting in January 2024 to have motor vehicle inspections go from 1 year to every 2 years. Change it, doubles the fees in that regards, but that's a pretty big change. It would make West Virginia one of 6 states that just do motor vehicle inspections every 2 years. I was curious whether, I think that just landed on your desk maybe at the beginning of the week. I was curious to know if this has been reviewed or is in the process of being reviewed, and whether that was whether that would be a bill you'd be willing to sign. Thank you.
Well, Stephen, I think from the standpoint, you know, I want a little bit more time to do a little bit more review, and my team's surely looking at it. From my standpoint, it's you know, there's two things. One is it's surely time consuming and a nuisance in a lot of ways to have your car run down there every year and go through all this stuff and all that and everything. At the same time, there's a real safety issue with it, and you know, but we're going to, you know, we'll make the best decision we can possibly make here. You know, there are states that don't have an inspection situation at all, and so to go to every 2 years doesn't seem inadequate, but just give us a little more time.
All right, thank you, Stephen. Next to John Shaver with WV News.
Good afternoon, everybody. This one's for the governor. You recently spoke about calling a special session to address the ongoing shortage of correctional officers. Has the sudden issue with the state police delayed those plans at all, or are you considering adding anything related to state police to your call for that special session? Thank you.
The state police issue, you know, surely, you know, had to be addressed, and it surely has taken some time. That's for deadgum sure. You know, let me just make this comment. You know, I think that you know, our chief of staff is going to have some more comments in regard to the state police here. But the thing that I want everyone to realize is just this: these events that have happened, you know, are really, really unfortunate. And who they're unfortunate for is the everyday trooper that's out there on the front lines every day. And just like Colonel Chambers just said, there's a lot of good work going on in the state police in West Virginia. Now, when things happen like this, you react. And absolutely, there's no question that there's some really bad stuff that has happened. Now, we just don't want to say, well, let's just go on, forget about it and everything else. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that on my watch at all. No way. No matter how much mud throwing or whatever happens, I mean, I'm not doing that. I'm just plain not doing that. Especially in regard to the women or in regard to a police officer stealing. Are you kidding me? I mean, this is not like, just some down home, whatever person that's accused or stealing or whatever it may be. I mean, this is not somebody stealing copper out of lines, way back up hoo-hoo holla. This is a police officer. The people that we entrust everything in the world to, in regard to the women's violation and everything and them feeling unsafe and all that, this is a police officers. So with all that being said, we're going to get to the bottom of it. Sure, it's taken up some time in regard to corrections and everything. We're working with the leadership of the legislature. As soon as we can get the green light, like I've said before, I've sent it up 2 times. I mean, come on. I absolutely believe wholeheartedly that we have got to address this and do something now, right now. Absolutely, but I've got to have some level of assurance that we can get it through and that people are on board. I'm not being critical. I'm not being critical of the legislature because they're doing great work and they're doing all they can do in many instances, but this isn't going to go away. But it does take all of us.
All right, thank you, John. Next to Randy Yohe with West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Governor, I have a news question, but first I've got to know if you were thinking about eating a chicken nugget yesterday at Leon Elementary. I mean, baby dog sprung up like I've never seen when that nugget bag just came to your table. I mean, I was smiling through that whole incident. But the news question is, Colonel Cahill made public statements yesterday. He was blindsided by this investigation, followed proper protocol across the board. He said he's the fall guy. He strongly implied the Department of Homeland Security probe was prejudicial, that Secretary Jeff Sandi had a vendetta against him. I guess much of this was discussed in your driveway on Monday morning. Does any of it hold credence?
It holds credence that we discussed in my driveway. But beyond that, I don't have any earthly idea how it holds credence. I think my Chief of Staff, Brian Abraham, is who we really should defer to now because he's investigated and dug down into all the rambling or whatever and everything. And I don't mean to be critical, but listen, everybody should know this. Jan Cahill did a lot of good work. That's all there is to it. Sure, there were real live mistakes made here, and that's all there is to it. And people, we've got to move on. We're taking down the whole state, the entire state police, or morale-wise and everything else across this whole state. There were mistakes made, big-time mistakes. The leadership has to be addressed. We got to move on. But Brian, take over, please.
Thank you, Governor. And Randy, we obviously got lots of inquiries yesterday, and we saw the comments in the media by Jan Cahill. And I'll say this, I would not assert that Jan Cahill attempted to mislead or the public or the media, but perhaps he did not understand the roles and responsibilities associated with being the superintendent of the state police. But with regard to the incident at Mardi Gras, he indicated that he didn't have the authority to terminate the trooper for the misconduct, and that absolutely is not correct. Both West Virginia Code and the Code of State Regulations gave him the sole discretion to demote, discharge, or reduce an employee. Now, certainly those employees have the right to appeal those actions, but there's nothing that has to be done first if the superintendent in his sole discretion believed that there was egregious conduct that had occurred that would allow that. And not only is the authority vested in the superintendent, there's even a West Virginia Supreme Court case that mandates when the superintendent of the West Virginia State Police believes there's been misconduct, he has a mandatory duty to investigate that misconduct. So not only would that apply in the Mardi Gras case, this same case would have dictated the actions of the colonel in the locker room case. In other words, had a lawful duty to further investigate that when he became aware in 2020 that there'd been a videotape involving members of his staff. Even though one was deceased, there was others that destroyed key and relevant evidence, yet suffered no investigation or any discipline for that misconduct. Additionally, the statement that said the trooper had a choice to retire and there's nothing that he could have done to prevent that, again, is not correct under West Virginia Code. A petition for retirement can be filed, but that's required to be signed off on by the colonel before that can be granted. And anytime there are matters of discipline that are pending, the colonel is within his discretion to deny that retirement pending the outcome of those investigations. In fact, a person can't even receive the retirement unless it can be demonstrated that they serve their obligation honorably. You could argue certainly that the theft of the money, the incident, if it had been prosecuted, if it had been disciplined, may have prevented that person from even being able to receive that retirement. Now, I'll draw your attention to comments particularly that were made yesterday by Colonel Cahill on the WSAZ report, where when he was questioned about the individual that had investigated the theft and had done nothing about it nor reported it to his superiors, the colonel stated absolutely he believed that person had a duty to report that to his superior officers, and in fact he thought the person should have reported it and didn't. But what we discovered yesterday in listening to Jan Cahill's statements on the Hoppy Kercheval show is that he had just become aware yesterday that the trooper who failed to act in reporting had been exonerated by a report of the state police. We had heard nothing of that in the governor's office, so we made an investigation into that yesterday afternoon. As it turns out, the investigation was initiated in February, and on March the 7th it was finally completed and given to the superintendent's office. That's more than 2 weeks ago, and that exonerated that officer from doing nothing wrong. That despite the fact that he failed to notify his chain of command or his superior officers of this incident, and again, that contrasts with what Jan Cahill said yesterday when he thought that person absolutely had an obligation to report that. So it appears that this was on its way to a whitewash. Again, this is why there was no involvement by the leadership team there in this ongoing investigation. When given something that clearly, as we've all seen in the media, was an absolute theft of that money, and given an opportunity to investigate it, they let one individual retire and the other was going to be absolved. This Colonel Chambers is now has taken over. He's resolved to have that matter reinvestigated and determine whether there was misconduct. So again, this all goes back to what the governor has told us in this office since day one, that the only way you maintain your credibility is through the integrity you demonstrate and then being transparent when there is something that goes wrong. It appears that all efforts were taken down there to try to keep things from that were not good news, keeping it concealed in an effort not to demean the reputation. But at the end of the day, these things always seem to come about. It's better to deal with them on the front end, as the governor says. You report them, you take them to the proper authorities. That's what we've done in this instance. And again, the accusation yesterday that nothing could have been done, simply, again, not intending to say he meant to mislead, but clearly the authorities were there to handle this situation, and they were not used properly.
All right, thank you, Randy. Next, we'll go to Kim Keggy with WSAZ.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Kimberly Keggy with WSAZ. My questions are for Secretary Wriston in particular. Secretary Wriston, you pointed out the construction zone in Barbersville along I-64. In an investigation that I did, I found that construction zone had 33 crashes, 9 of those involving tractor trailers. And I've asked for an interview several times about safety concerns with that construction zone in particular. And you mentioned today talking a little bit about the statewide action plan. Can you touch on how that would be any different? What does that plan look like for a lot of people? What is the long-term goal for this project? Because you mentioned we have to change the culture with drivers, but this has been an ongoing issue, and that construction project is 2 years behind right now.
Secretary, please.
Thank you. Kimberly, absolutely. This is going to be different. This is going to be different because it's exactly what I told you. We're committed to 0 fatalities in our work zones and on our highways. The root causes are not engineered elements out there. I can't engineer around stupid. I've got to affect positively the way we operate vehicles on the highways. The action plan is going to be tried and true, or at least empirically tested techniques using technology, using law enforcement. I can guarantee you, if you get a ticket in that work zone this evening, tomorrow you'll think twice before you speed through that. Or if you don't think twice and you get that second ticket, those fines are doubled in that work zone. They should be. We're focused out there. Our law enforcement partners are absolutely in lockstep with this, with us on this. We are using our own data collections now to target areas that we know. If I could tell you today that on a particular day in that particular work zone at between 2 and 3 in the morning that there'll be somebody go through that work zone at 78 miles an hour, and I can feed that to our law enforcement officers and they have somebody there, that's going to make a difference, because 82% of these incidents are happening when there is no law enforcement there. The speeding is occurring. The speeding's not occurring if the trooper's there or if the sheriff is there. That's going to be the difference. It's a commitment. It's a commitment from a wide range of folks. We have to change the culture. We have got to get away from, we're already in the right mindset. The very minute you put the key in your car, the first thing you do is put your seatbelt on. So you're already in the right frame of mind to start with. You're thinking about safety. You're thinking about your safety. Now we have to broaden the way you look at that. Broaden it to where you're looking at everybody else's safety. When you're speeding out there through a work zone, you're taking a worker's life in your hands. You have to understand that. You have to really own that. You have to be responsible. You have to follow the rules. That's the message. And it's not just a message. You know, we can do a lot of PR campaigns, but we're gonna attack this with every tool we have, with technology, with safety devices, with new devices that we can purchase or rent, things that we can add into the contractors' contracts that they can do this. Maybe we change the colors of the temporary striping we put on the road. There's a plethora of things. Well, we're going to uncover each and every one of those things, and we're going to try them, evaluate them. And then if they move us toward the goal, we'll use them again. If they don't, then we'll bypass them and we'll keep going.
All right, thank you, Kimberly. Next to Amanda Barron with WOWK.
Hi, everybody. Amanda Barron with 13 News. Question for you, Chief of Staff Abraham. What happens now with the information that you've just released regarding that report about the officer who did not report the money being taken? What are the next steps in that? And also, can you please clarify your conversation with Colonel Cahill as far as whether or not you specifically told him to fire those employees? Thank you.
Okay, Brian.
Amanda, answer those in the order that you just asked. With respect to the investigation, as I've said, some of those matters have already been turned over to federal law enforcement authorities. If there are others that are violations of state law and are still within the relevant timeframes for prosecution, those may be turned over to those authorities. Notwithstanding those timelines, any matter that the governor's directed to be reopened for investigation, if misconduct is determined, then we will be asking this colonel to take the appropriate actions. With respect to the report that I detailed earlier that was on its way for a non-finding, it's my understanding Colonel Chambers is rejecting that and going to have that matter looked into further. His review was there were significant shortcomings in the investigation, and his expectation is that it be dealt with properly. With respect to the second part of your question regarding my conversations with Colonel Cahill, as I've stated earlier, during my providing him the information regarding the incident of the theft at the casino, he asked my opinion as to what I would do if it were my decision. And I indicated to him that my opinion would be those two state troopers would not be state troopers by the time the sun went down that day. But I allowed him the opportunity to make that decision as he left my office that day, as I do our cabinet secretaries and other governor's appointees. It's my belief that it's my job to assist them in their roles that they've been appointed to by the governor and allow them the leeway to make their own decisions. So I did not direct them to be fired. It was my recommendation. But ultimately, the decision was left to the colonel.
All right, thank you, Amanda. Governor, we'll turn it back to you.
Okay, you know, they just handed me this, and evidently today at 8:45 this morning we had a mine fatality at the Century Mining Longview Mine. It's in Volga, West Virginia, in Barber County. Evidently there were 3 surveyors that were traveling underground to the mining section on a Striker 2 Cedar rubber-tired man trip when a wreck occurred. You know, I don't see any reason to just go through this whole thing, but it's terrible. We should understand wholeheartedly that we've lost Cecil Barker. He's age 62. He's from Philippi. And Mr. Barker had 18 years of mining experience, and you know, I'm sure you know he's got a family, and you know, I just tell people this all the time, and I want you to pay real close attention. These people get their dinner buckets. They absolutely go thousands of feet underground. In many situations, the height of the coal is not as high as this desk that I'm sitting at. People can't, not only can they not stand up, they can't hardly even sit up all day, thousands of feet underground. For all of us, for all this nation, for all that has happened through all the wars, for all of us. And absolutely without any question whatsoever, whether it be for coal for making electricity or coal for making steel. Today, anybody that believes that this nation can do without coal today is an idiot, a blooming idiot. Maybe someday. We want to embrace all the alternatives. We want to look to the future. We want to, what I would hope for is we'd find the key to Emerald City to where coal could be made the cleanest of the cleanest, and it could be our resource. But if we can't do that, we embrace the alternatives and we move forward. But not today. Not today. And today, we've lost another great man, another, in my eyes, heroes. These people work so hard. Please keep Cecil Barker and his great family, absolutely, his wife, Mary. I don't know about their children, but absolutely, please keep them in your prayers. Like I said, the last thing, they just gave it to me 5 seconds before I started talking to you. My last today is just this. Remember the organization that really and truly, if their morale drops, you need them tonight. You need our state police tonight. And they do great, great, great work in so many different areas. Sure, we got some problems here that we need to address, and we're doing that. We're doing exactly that. And we've even got some situations where we got some bad eggs, and we really need to address that. Absolutely, we need to make things better. But don't forget what these great men and women, heroes, do for all of us every day. They need your support. They need your confidence. Absolutely, we don't need to be looking at our state police with a slanted eye. We'll address the problems. That's my job. And we'll address the problems. But look at the state police with honor, because there's good, good, good folks. Nevertheless, that's all I've got. Thank y'all so much.